here are the AFC odds. Ravens are at 1. My Chiefs at 2. Dolphins, Bills, and then Jacksonville. Brew, remember this started last week when we said, hey, if you're so confident in Trevor, why didn't we book the Trumpeters? And you're like, you know what? Let's book them. Call them up. And now here we are. Brew, I don't know what you want to do. I didn't have a plan. I wanted to cancel the guys, but.
Well, Nick, the Ravens are the best team in the AFC, and I hate to do this to you. But fellas,
don't you dare.
Fellas, I got them some new uniforms. We got some new purple uniforms.
You called them the Bugle Boys, and now this is for the Prince and the Prince alone. This is betrayal. This is betrayal.
Well done, the Trumpeteers. Excellent work as always. I love the new. I like those outfits much better.
Okay,
all right. But
this is the
best,
outrage.
Nick.
Schlereth also here.
And I can tell Stink is with me. Yeah. I can tell. Look, Nick, you'll even agree with this one. Baltimore has played a tough schedule, one of the toughest in the league, and they're beating great teams, very good teams. They are 6-2 against teams with winning records. 5 of those wins have been by 2 touchdowns or more. By comparison, because I think those odds are right on the money. I think it's Kansas City and Baltimore for the most part. Miami, a little dangerous. Buffalo if they get in. But they got to be low, 4th, because they may not even get in. But Kansas City's 2-3 against teams with winning records. I think Miami has maybe 1 victory over a team winning record, if that. We know how good their defense is, Baltimore. But offensively, Lamar, you guys know you can't judge him by his numbers. Yeah. But you saw yesterday what he can do to take control of a game, running and passing. And that running game,
yesterday
no matter
was his second straight great game.
Yes.
I thought he had great numbers against the Rams. And then this week, the numbers might not say it. I thought he was unbelievable.
And the run game, it's almost like no matter who the running back is, and they had an injury. Mitchell, that's big because he's great. But no matter who they give the ball to, he runs well, I think in large part because you got to worry about Lamar.
Yeah, I think the big thing about Baltimore, very much like San Francisco, they are a big physical football team that will wear you out. And I always say this, the greatest skill in football is moving a man from point A to point B against his will. That is a skill. That has to be worked on. They have worked on that from day one. So they have that ability, much like San Francisco, but then they can wow you with weapons. And I think about this a lot with Lamar. Think about growth. You always grow when you're put in a difficult situation. The growth of Lamar, now that Mark Andrews isn't that security blanket anymore. You lose Mark Andrews, and you have to start moving to other people, other weapons, and his ability to extend a play, hold on to the ball for 7-8 seconds, scrambling around. There is nobody in the world that can cover a wide receiver in this league for 7 seconds. It's just impossible. And so his ability to do those things, I think, you look at the way he's playing right now and what he means to this football team. The guy's incredible.
So I agree with everything you guys are saying about Lamar. I think Lamar, despite the numbers, has a pretty strong MVP case. And I think the Ravens, they've answered every question this year, except for oddly giving games away. But the flip side to that coin is there hasn't been a single game this year they couldn't have won. All 3 of their losses were games. With that said, right now I think they're AFC Vegas favorites purely because Vegas believes, and it's likely true, they're going to have to play one less playoff game. Yeah. Because right now they are in position to have the bye, and that's to me far more important than even the home field. It's the one less playoff game.
Great.
But if Kansas City were to play Baltimore, even in Baltimore, I think Kansas City would be the Vegas favorite.
I buy that.
And I think that most people, maybe not Brew because you've been on Baltimore all year, if they were to face in the postseason, they'd say, okay, the defenses statistically are a wash. It is 1-3 and 2-3 as far as points and yards. There's a few yards and 1 point per game difference between them. The running backs, the more and more Ravens running backs that get injured, as Pacheco's going to be back next week, that's a slight check mark to the Ravens, I suppose. The pass catchers, I think, given the Ravens' injuries, is a wash now. With the ascension of Rashee Rice, with Travis Kelce, and with Mark Andrews gone, and as good as Harbaugh is, he's won, I think, 1 playoff game since the Super Bowl, maybe 2. And as good as Lamar is, he's not Patrick Mahomes. So I do think that this is the year. If there was ever a moment for Baltimore, it's right now.
Okay.
But I think Kansas City is better than them. And I think Kansas City, if they were to play in the postseason, would have more answers than Baltimore would. And I think Kansas City will be more, no matter their record going into the postseason, will be more confident come the playoffs than a Baltimore team that together has won one playoff game ever. And so I think that's a real thing. So I respect what Baltimore's done. I think that Kansas City should be the favorites. But I do agree with you, Brew. I think it's a two-team race.
Okay.
A two-team race.
Meanwhile, the Prince. I don't know if you guys want to stay for this or not.
It's too sad.
They are now 8-6. 2 fumbles from the Prince. Weird ones.
Yeah.
One, what are you doing at the end of the half? That's how I describe that. You would think this was all the Ravens' defense, but a lot of self-inflicted wounds from the team and the Prince.
The music's perfect.
Here are the drives in the first half. You got a punt, you got 2 missed field goals from the 32 and 36. Then you got a fumble, and then you had this wacky play at the end of the half, which is, you would be mad if a high school team did it.
Yeah.
So
I'm just pouring salt.
I mean, was that not a wacky play?
It was
bad.
bad.
What are you doing?
What's your question, smart aleck?
I didn't even write one down. I was just like, what's the deal?
Just go.
I mean, what's gone wrong for Jacksonville?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I think everybody knows. I mean, it's one of the overwhelming stories of this NFL season. Similar to what went wrong for the Vikings, or the Bengals, or the Jets. Their quarterback got hurt. Their quarterback got, well, I don't know. They were 8-3, and then the quarterback was crying in pain, and they couldn't even get a cart for him. And since then, they've lost 3 straight.
Since then,
right? And I think that's a bad idea. Since then, they've lost 3 straight. And in that game, and I know Brew puts a giant asterisk on any game where a quarterback afterwards is reported with a concussion. In this game, reportedly, he's in concussion protocol. Now, what I will say is because since Kevin Wildes has abdicated this title, I will be the mayor of Fair. He has a fumbling problem.
You think?
The Prince has a fumbling problem. The Prince has a fumbling problem. And I'm not sure how slippery the ball was, but typically that's been the issue. The Prince has a fumbling problem. I am not above admitting that. Okay. And the end of the half was a travesty. The end of the half where you could have spiked it. If you don't spike it, you have to go into the end zone. It's a mental error. So this is, what have I always called him, Brew? Peyton Manning 2.0. Well, Peyton Manning, this point in his career, they were 6-10. That's when Moore did the playoffs. He had 30 combined picks and interceptions. So he's ahead of schedule there in a good way because they're going to still make the playoffs. But he needs to get healthy, and he needs to stop dropping the football. That's the reality of it. I can't defend it. It's just the truth.
Does the Prince have tiny little hands?
No, he has big hands.
I don't think Nick was
like his collar.
He has big hands. Big hands, big neck.
Long hair.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know why he drops the ball.
There's a problem there. And look, it's not huge, but you see compared to last year, he has regressed from that. Now you added better receivers. And obviously, ETN is still good. I think we have a graphic here. We don't have it. But his numbers have regressed from a year ago when they should have gotten better. He added Calvin Ridley. I think he does miss Christian Kirk. There's no doubt about that. Who's been out the last couple of games.
And Zay Jones out there with a giant brace on his leg. Can't really move.
So, but Lawrence, he's got to get better. And I get it. Look, guys progress at different paces. Some guys come right in the league and play well. Some guys, it takes a few years. He seems to be taking a little while longer to become, you think, a superstar. I think he'll be a star, but he's not there yet. He's far away.
When did he hurt his ankle?
There's the game that they started this 3-game losing streak. Right. The game on Monday night. We were in L.A.
Right.
I was watching.
But he's insisted on playing through everything.
They were playing the Bengals. It's when they lost that game. Then the next week, and that game was like 31-34 something when he got hurt. Then the next week he played terribly against. Well, he threw 3 touchdowns, but had 3 interceptions. And then so this was his third game with the injured ankle.
Third game. And I'll tell you, those are the things that the ankle stuff like that, especially when you're a quarterback, your ability to plant, your ability to drive off the football, create rotational force in the football, all that stuff.
Rotational force?
Ground force becomes rotational force, which becomes velocity on the play. Everybody knows.
Is that an excuse?
Right.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.